as a player? Can you develop it as a,
You know what's funny? When you brought up basketball IQ, the first thing that came to my mind, I started thinking right away. I was like, are you born with basketball IQ, or are you taught the game the right way, and now the basketball IQ clicks on? There's guys in the NBA that if you call a play or a coach draw a play to one side of the floor, they can't switch it in their head and do it and say, let's run it to the other side without the coach drawing on the clipboard.
Yeah.
I've never understood that. And I don't know. I never understood that. So if I say we running thumb down angle, we're running on the right side, so because I have a left-hand point guard, he wants to come middle to a strong hand. He has the ability to hit the pocket pass with the left hand, has the ability to throw ahead, he's lefty, and also has the ability to throw back on the shake. But if I say, hey, we run a thumb down angle on the left side because now the right-hand guard coming right, I've had teammates that's like, oh, what do you mean? Coaches always, in practice, we only ran it from this side.
Yeah.
I could flip a play when I was 8 years old. No matter if it was just pass and cut, no matter if it was, let's run flex, but let's start on the left side. No matter if it was just, let's DHO, drive and kick. The last one, all right, now let's just drive the baseline, drive, drift. If the forward on the left side is looking at the ball, you can slot cut. I could do that. I was doing that stuff when I was like 8, 9 years old, and my coaches would just be blown away, and I wouldn't know where it came from. I have no idea. So to get back to your question, I think I was born with a sports IQ.
What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about childhood genetics and biological determinism. Now, many times I get asked the question of, hey, Jack, do you believe in biological determinism? Do you believe in genetic determinism? And I actually do believe in biological determinism. Yes, I do. I don't believe it in the way that, like, if you don't have the perfect cards in life, then you just, you can't achieve any type of success. I don't believe in it that way. How I see it is, biological determinism is a scary concept. A lot of people don't really want to talk about it. Humans, we have this kind of irrational need to think, to be positive. The marker of a psychologically healthy person is a person who's able to not have the need to turn everything into a positive. You see this with so many people that they have this need to spin everything into a positive. Like, oh, I got to spin it into a positive. But look at the silver. It's like, no. That shows me that that person is probably not psychologically healthy if they need to spin everything into a positive. Even negative shit, people try to just spin it into a positive. Just think positive. Just be positive. And thinking positive has no impact on anything in life, really. In fact, I actually think positive thinking is a detriment to most people. But we'll talk about that in a second. But biological determinism, it implies no matter what you do, you will never be better than what you were intended to be. That's what I believe. I believe in that. I believe that I believe you can't be better than your genetics allow you to be. Now, luckily, I think we live in the world where most people have decent genetics, where you're not retarded, you're not severely autistic, you have a decent level IQ, right? And all of these things are genetics, by the way. IQ, all this stuff is genetics. So I do believe the average person has good enough genetics to be able to attain some type of baseline happiness in life. I do believe that. Now, some people, there are your rare exceptions who are genetically fucked, who just got screwed mentally, their brain chemistry, they're autistic, maybe they're super short, maybe they're not attractive, they're ugly, they're sub 5. Let's just use that for example. You have all these people, right? And so there are situations where some people are just biologically fucked, right? But the average person has at least good enough genetics to to carve somewhat of a decent life for themselves. But humans, we have this tendency to feel like we're more in control of the future. Most people have not done the work to be able to accept uncertainty and insecurity. Uncertainty and insecurity it's a natural thing. I don't think you should try to eliminate insecurity from yourself, right? You shouldn't try to eliminate uncertainty. This is why people try to spin everything into a positive. The person who wants to spin everything into a positive. And most people can't handle this, so they tell themselves positive lies to cope with the reality that the majority of life, guys, and the things that happen to us are really outside our control. Like if you think about the most important things in life, most of those things you didn't have a say so in. It's kind of crazy. It's really crazy to think about that, right? But people have this kind of the cult of positivity, the cult of optimism, where people want to, and especially marketers. Marketers ruin everything. And this is something I've realized. When I was trying to start a business with Jack the Stack, I looked into a lot of marketing, and I looked into a lot of how do you market, right? Like market products, and a lot of it is just manipulation. And this is what I personally think. Marketers ruin everything. Yes, marketers. You can have a really good community online, and as soon as marketers infiltrate that community, they ruin it. The same thing happened with, some of the manosphere and some of these spaces. Marketers, as soon as the marketers started coming into the space and peddling their products, using manipulation tactics, exaggerating lies, exaggerating fears, these are all marketing tactics. It's all propaganda, to sell more products. But marketers ruin this. Marketers love the idea that humans need to be sold a positive lie. But really what it boils down to, guys, is genetics, your childhood and genetics. That's really what it boils down to. These things in life, most of the stuff about yourself in life, you cannot change. People have the just world fallacy. Everything can be earned through human effort and hard work, bro. If you just work hard enough, man, you can be like Kobe Bryant too. If you just work hard enough, you can be the next president. The just world fallacy, the idea that everything can be earned through human effort and control, but people don't recognize the harder truths. This is why, most people, in society, they're kind of just like fundamental lies, right? Like, you could be whatever you want to be, right? Or, all problems have a solution. That's not true. Most problems in life have no solution. Every fear can be overcome. Most people, most of the time, have no impact or effect on anything that's happening in the world most of the time. Most people want to believe they're going to have an impact. They're going to change. Most people have little to no impact, and they just die, and that's it. They think, I made a difference in the world. Most people make no difference. It wouldn't make a difference if you were born or if you were never born. And this is a harsh truth that most people can't accept. I'm a big believer in happiness through negativity. Now you might say, what do I mean by that? Happiness through negativity. I believe that the only way you can truly be at peace and fundamentally happy. When I say happy, I don't mean like an excited way. I'm just saying a baseline of inner peace, tranquility with life, right? The only way you can achieve that state is through negativity. It's through embracing all the negative shit, making peace with the negative. Most people want to cover it up. They just want to kind of, spin everything into a positive, spin it into a positive, right? But, this is life, but this is what people do. But I believe the only way you can truly be happy in life is by the negative. I believe in happiness through the negative, not happiness through the positive. When it comes down to it, guys, most of success in life comes down to timing, genetics, and your childhood. All right. And when I say timing, what I mean is that you can do all the great things in the world, but at the wrong time and you fail. Brutal truth, Let's look at the baby boomers. baby boomers, they want people to believe that, they worked hard for their wealth. We had different values for our wealth. But really, when you look at most baby boomers, most of their wealth was acquired through good timing. 90% of luck, 90% of the baby boomer success was being born at the right time, just being born at the perfect time, And I would say the other 10% is technically hard work. But 90% of life is timing, guys. 90% of it is timing and luck. What type of family were you born into, right? What genetics were you given? Your genetics determines pretty much your core personality. There is a core personality that you cannot change. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can change. People think they can, I can change my personality. This is what a lot of guys think, a lot of men, because we know that there's certain types of personalities that tend to do better with women. This is proven. This is a fact. So what do most men do? They try to tweak and change their personalities to become that person, but it never works. It never works because you're just not that guy. Unfortunately, you're just not that guy. Your core personality, you cannot change. There are certain things about you that you cannot change. Your core personality is kind of like your temperament. The way you respond to life is kind of like your natural instincts. When you were a baby, right? Like babies who were shy tend to be shy in adulthood. Babies who were very anxious and had a lot of anxiety, they tend to be the same way through adulthood. See these natural tendencies, and a lot of it, and the reason why it's genetics is because it comes from brain chemistry. Yes, it comes from brain chemistry. How you respond to life, how you feel, your moods, your outlooks, how you respond to certain situations as a kid. A lot of those things, if you go back and look how you responded to a lot of things as a kid, you will see the same tendencies into adulthood. And this is what I mean by core personality. All right. I'm not talking about like, you can, practice public speaking to become a good public speaker. Yes, those are skills. Those aren't like personality traits, right? The things you like, right? The things that fire you up, the things you take interest in, all those things are genetics, your ability to take advantage of situations, your ability to process information, even your body, guys. Like there's an obesity gene. There's a human obese gene where you may naturally just have more body fat than someone else. Like someone else may be able to get lean with the same diet, the same workouts, etc. Where for you may never be able to achieve a 10% body fat, not without actually causing detriment, not without being a detriment to your health, So there's genetics, there's brain chemistry, your natural moods, your natural tendencies, this is another good one, how outgoing you are. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to be more outgoing, and they just come off as fake. They just look stupid. They look like they're trying to just try too hard because it's just not them. And humans, we have a natural tendency to be able to almost like read minds and detect congruency, right? And this is kind of like an innate thing that humans we can do. We can kind of like see congruency when a person is really congruent. And this is why, being outgoing, that's not something you could just be. That's just not something you could just turn on and just be, I'm just going to be more outgoing. No, because that's a core personality trait, So most of the things, guys, when it comes to your personality, you must accept that you are largely immutable, right? When I mean immutable, is unchangeable. You are largely unchangeable. Most of the things that matter, that make a big difference, cannot be changed. And that's facts. And so you're better off dealing with that fundamental truth of life and then basing your choices, your decisions, and then basing things off of that. Not basing off the idea that you can literally recreate yourself and reinvent. No, that's just not true. You look at most people. The people who, you knew years ago. Let's say you met a guy when you were 21 years old, and now you met that same guy again. You crossed paths now at 32. I can almost guarantee you that person is still the same person. Maybe they live in a better house, maybe they got a better job, but you will be able to see that, like, oh, he's still the same person, because our core personality does not change. And this is a harsh truth to accept, that, you're just not that guy. A lot of guys want to be the outgoing, super charismatic, super confident guy. And it's just like, you're just not that. You're better off accepting you're not that guy and working around that. Humans, we're not these blank slates. People think, oh, you're just born, blank slate. You can just, create whatever you're a blank canvas. No, you're born, your brain, all that stuff develops. Nature versus nurture. I do believe your environment plays a part. So your childhood, let's talk about childhood. Your childhood largely shapes you as a person as well, because, guys, look, you're born with genetics. You're born with a certain brain chemistry. You're born predisposed to certain behaviors, to certain personality quirks and whatever, right? Your environment, the nurture versus nature, the nurture part, express themselves, right? Let's say, for example, you're a lower IQ person, but as a kid, your parents had you studying different languages and doing all types of other things as a kid. Then you'll probably be very, very intelligent academic wise. You might not be an actual official high IQ person, but you may be able to keep up with a high IQ person just because of your childhood. So I do believe your childhood shapes you. Those early experiences shape who you are, and there's nothing you can do to change. There's nothing you can do to change that. Some of us have brutal childhood. Some of us, my childhood. I don't really like to talk about my childhood, because I feel like people always use that as a example to, like, one up each other. Oh, my childhood was worse, bro. I had a worse childhood, bro. So I don't really like talking about childhood, but your childhood really, it can make or break you. If you weren't given the right tools to thrive, it's going to be exponentially harder for you to thrive versus someone who was given the right tools to thrive in life. If your parents didn't instill into you a solid self-worth, a solid self-esteem, more than likely you will probably have low self-esteem your entire life. And I actually don't really necessarily think self-esteem is that important, right? I really don't. I actually don't think that's a whole different video. But if you weren't given the right tools in life, guys, you may be starting from like 50 miles behind in the race, whereas another guy got a head start. And that matters. That matters a lot. A lot of the successes and failures in life comes down to your genetics. It comes down to your childhood, mostly things which are largely outside your control. Now, like I said, I do believe most people have decent enough genetics to be able to attain, shelter, food, some basic level of happiness in life. I do think most people can attain that. But as far as greatness, right, we live in a society where everybody wants to be great. This is a part of the whole hustle culture. Oh, if you just hustle enough, bro, you can start an online business. Starting an online business, all those things are largely reliant on luck, good timing, the right actions, and maybe like 10% hard work. That's really, but marketers want you to believe that, oh, it's hard work, bro. It's hard work, bro. Self-improvement gurus love to tell you, oh man, you got to fix yourself. You got to self-improve. You got to fix yourself, bro. And here's something I realized, guys. Something I realized is that if you have to think about fixing yourself, you already have a problem. It's already kind of over, because these things, you shouldn't need to fix anything. Attracting women, being able to keep up intellectually, being able to have a conversation, what people call social skills, all these things should be natural. These things should come natural. And if you have to fix something, that actually points to a deeper issue. If you have to fix things and change yourself and like do mental gymnastics to warp yourself into like trying to be that guy, your chances are you'll never be that guy. And you're actually better off accepting that and then working with that fundamental truth versus just trying to force life. You can't force life. I tell you guys this all the time. You can't force life. Meaningful change, and this is a fundamental truth, meaningful change is nearly impossible. To meaning, any type of change that you make on yourself is only kind of marginal gains. Now, I do believe there's skills, right? Like, improving public speaking or learning how to code, right? These are all skills you can learn that increases your value to the marketplace. But the biggest change is that, like, changing your core personality. That would actually probably be a massive, meaningful change, right? But meaningful change is nearly impossible, trying to be more confident. No, you have a natural confidence level, and it is what it is. It's there for a reason. Your confidence is at the level it is for a reason. And so instead of trying to be more confident, you need to work on, well, why do I have low confidence in the first place? That's the real question. It's not like, oh, fix my personality, change my personality. Most meaningful change is nearly impossible. A meaningful change would be like changing the parents you were born with. I know that sounds kind of fucked up, but I'm just giving an example. Changing the childhood you had, changing the neighborhood you grew up in as a kid, changing the high school you went to, changing the friend group, right? Changing, maybe your genetics, right? Like how tall you are, changing how you look, changing your skin color. Like the most meaningful things in life are impossible to change. That's a harsh truth. But most people, they wanna believe, oh, it doesn't matter how short you are, bruh. It doesn't matter how ugly you are. It doesn't matter if you had a fucked up childhood. It doesn't matter if your core personality. You can overcome all that through hard work and willpower. Guys, willpower is not enough. Willpower is not enough. This is why I believe self-improvement, you can't willpower your way through life. It doesn't work that way. You can try to willpower your way through life, and all you're going to do is end up stressed out, burnt out, and depressed, and bitter and mad because you put in all this work and you still failed. Why? Because you didn't realize some of the fundamental truths of life. You chose to ignore the harsh truths of life. And this is why most people will never be happy. The average person will never find any type of inner peace and happiness because they can't embrace these harsh truths of life. You're better off looking at your core personality, right? Look at the trends. Just look at patterns. It's very easy to say. You might say, well, Jack, how do I know my core personality? Just look at your patterns. Look at your history. Look at your history in life. And that will tell you. You can literally see your core personality. What are your natural tendencies? Like naturally, not fabricated, your natural tendencies. What are your natural inclinations? Right? For example, right? Like my brain, I'm naturally able to really understand code and programming very, very well. My brain just works that way. Like I didn't try, like I didn't study harder than another person, but for some reason I was better at coding. I was better because my brain, genetics, I was genetically predisposed to be good at understanding abstract concepts and breaking down information, and that's a genetics thing, so this is something that, my career right now, the reason why I move so quickly in my career is not because I could sit here and lie to you guys and say, man, it's because I worked so hard, bro. Like, yeah, I did work hard, but I didn't work harder than the next man, to be honest. Like I didn't put in that much more work, right? But I was still able to make it advance really quickly in my career because I have this innate ability. And this is a harsh truth. A lot of people want to lead you to believe that if you're not getting the results in life, it's because you're not waking up at 5 a.m., bruh. It's because, if you're not getting laid, it's because, bro, you're not trying hard enough, bro. It's because your personality, man. You got to change your personality. Normies, I fucking hate normies sometimes. And when I say normies, I don't mean normies in a looks level. I'm talking about normies in a way of thinking. See, being a normie is a way of thinking. It's not necessarily like how you look. It's a train of thought. It's a way you process the world. And normies, oh, it's because your personality is too dark, bruh. And my favorite one, go to the gym. It's because you don't go to the gym. You're fat and you play video games all day. As if the average guy, literally, like, that's an extreme. The loser living in his mom's basement who's fat and eats cheeseburgers all day. That's such an extreme, But marketers love your insecurities. Marketers love playing or preying on the human tendency to want to think they can control the future, to think that they can be anything they want to be if they just have the right information. And here's another harsh truth. Most information is irrelevant. That's facts. Literally 90% of information on the internet is irrelevant. Most of it just doesn't matter. Most information is useless. But at the end of the day, your genetics, your biology, your childhood sets the cap for what you can achieve in life, guys. Some things you're just not going to be able to achieve. You're just not going to be. It's just not in the cards for you. And you're better off accepting that, because when you make peace with that fact that you ain't shit and I ain't shit either, neither one of us, you ain't shit and I ain't shit. When you make peace with that, life, it kind of like takes a burden off your shoulder. Because in adolescence, you have this kind of like pressure from society, from peers to be great, from your parents, to be great, to start a billion-dollar company, to have a penthouse. Like, you have this kind of pressure. I call it adolescence pressure, right? But as you get wiser, and if you choose to embrace harsh truths, most people never do. They go through their lives still on the cult of optimism, the lies. They go through life. Oh, you can be anything you want to be if you just read enough books, read enough self-improvement books. But eventually you realize that, you are what you are at the end of the day. You are what you are, especially after like the age of like 23 or 24. That's pretty much it. You are what you are, and you're better off accepting what you are and working around that, right? Versus trying to change things that just cannot be changed. And that's just the harsh truth. So anyway, that is it for today's video, guys. Drop a comment below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.